Good morning and welcome back to When Pigs Fly. I am Patty. I'm joined by Tracy and Renee. Good morning.
Hello.
Morning.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about spirituality versus religion. We see a lot of entanglement cases, shall we call them here, and there's no judgment, but we do feel that this needs to be discussed. And I'll kick this off with my own experience and my perspective. And again, remember, these are unique to us. Take what resonates with you and throw the rest out. But if you are struggling and wondering, like, does the word God scare you? Any of these things. And do you feel guilt or shame around just being because you feel like you're being judged by a God, you know, the universe, source energy, whatever word you want to call it, you want to use it. Um, if you feel fear around source, creator, the universe, if you feel fear, guilt, or shame, that is not the truth of who you are. It just simply isn't. And the reason you feel off and it doesn't feel good is because your heart and your soul knows that is not, you were created from love. You are love. You are a part of that creator. That's why we too are creators. So if you're sitting in any kind of a place of worship in fear or guilt, I'm inviting you to ask yourself why. Why am I afraid of this? What is this? And can you step out of that and just say, okay, I was created from love, in love, and your natural state of being is when we say you already are everything that you wish to be, it's because you are. Your soul, God, the universe source sees you as perfect, sees you as well, sees, doesn't know negativity. That energy does not exist on a level of love. It's complete and utter love, and it's unconditional. It's not you're loved when you do this. It's not you're loved if you do this. It truly is how you were created. And again, we're just inviting you that if it feels icky in any way to look at that, because the truth of who you are isn't that you fear the source that created you. You're actually it. And this is what the whole goal of this community is to bring an awareness to unity consciousness and to have us all unite again. As Renee and I were talking off camera about this earlier today, about like we're all citizens of the world. We're all citizens of the world, and we all come from a divine heritage. And I challenge anybody to say that and tell me that it's not going to feed as true. It does. Maybe you don't understand the connection, and that's okay. But when you can bridge that gap and get into communion and say that, okay, I don't need to fear it, and use the word that is easy for you to resonate. If the word God has a scary connotation or a fear, then come up with come up with something that is fearless, that you can attach to love. It can be source, it can be creator, it can be the universe. I know there's a great author, her name's Pam Grout, and she says dude. She calls it dude. But because she wanted to help people separate from a negative connotation. And it's so important that when you get to a place that I am love, I was created from love, and this is how you ascend from a level of fear that was a false energy that got created in collective consciousness, quite frankly, quite frankly. And so if there are parts of, if you are following religion, again, we're saying take what resonates, but if there's any part that instills a fear in you, question that. Question that and say, is this the truth of who I am? And then be curious about how you can get back, because you'll be fully supported. You're fully supported here in this community. And I understand that that may mean that you may have generations of, no, this is what we do. It's not who you are. the truth of who you are is that you're love, you were created from love, and you are also a creator. And just invite that, we want to invite that thought into your awareness. And I'll let one of you jump in. That's my 2 cents here.
Go ahead, Trace.
All right. Well, I'm coming from the perspective of I was raised in a household that was not religious. We didn't go to church. That was not a mainstay of my childhood. So it's interesting that I have a completely different come from and perspective. And I've always had a curiosity about religion and the church, because it wasn't my foundation and my teachings and all of that, then it just became a interesting curiosity and observation. And I did go to Catholic school for a few years in high school, but I think it's kind of a life code. If anything is done under the realm of fear and control, question it. Not just religion. I think that goes for absolutely everything in our world. Nothing should come from the premise of fear and control, especially when we are in the energetic space of reclaiming our sovereignty and reclaiming our truth. So now's a great time to question. And I like to play the little game for myself of pretending I'm an alien and I drop down into a situation. And if you can really, really embrace that perspective, like you have never seen, there's no rules, there's no parameters, it is fascinating how you will view and throw in the school system, the medical system, the government system, the birthing of a child. I mean, you can really look at childbirth, and that hospital is the most sterile, horrific, terrorizing thing ever, where really, it's the most amazing experience in some people's lives. I'm bringing childbirth to put a little buffer on the religion thing, because I'm saying this about all of our belief systems. And as we know, religion is a big one that really somehow gets its claws into people's brains and hearts. And I think those are the hardest to dismantle. So I'm actually really grateful I didn't have a religious upbringing, because I don't have any of that. I've always just been like, oh, that's interesting. And I'll be a little blunt here. I'm like, wow, that's kind of hypocritical. Like, I don't get it. I don't get this whole control thing. And then I look at the people, and let me say this first. I think community is awesome. I do. I think there is a lot of religion in church that is amazing, but I also see a lot of, you can't go out and be a shithead and spend one day in a seat on a Sunday and make everything okay. And I'm saying that because I saw that a lot. I've had people come to church with me, and I'd be like, what do you guys think this, like, I saw that guy and those people they were not behaving properly. So why are they claiming to be a Christian? And I know this we're ripping off the Band-Aid, we're pulling off the scab, and I don't have an affiliation to any religion, so I can kind of just be an observer of it all. And the big one, I'm just going to call it out. A lot of the priests, they're not good people. It's the do what I say, not what I do. And I think that right off the bat, you lose my respect immediately. Do not be an icon of holiness and almighty and be a shitty person behind the scenes. It's just not cool. So there you go. Band-Aid ripped.
I like it. Well, what was funny, I'm glad you ripped the Band-Aid, because if not, I was ripping it, because as Patty was talking, like all of a sudden they were giving me the visual of like something that I experienced when I grew up, and I started to laugh, and I'm like, okay, you can't be laughing. It's gonna look crazy. But what they were showing me was, which I happened to forget about. And when I was growing up, we were, Catholic when, I came to live with my mom, and we were Catholic, and she would have these parties, birthday parties, whatever. And there was always a priest that would come, and he'd come with his collar on and everything, and he's a Catholic priest, but he always brought a girlfriend. And he was always grabbing her tits, grabbing her ass in front of us. Like, it was just wonderful. And I remember then, like, thinking, okay, wait a minute, this isn't what I've been learning. Like, so from right there, it didn't, like, the church for me was like, well, no, yeah, I don't really believe in any of this. And which I think for me was very easy to them when we went to church and when we went to religion instructions and all that stuff. They would be saying something and it would be almost like I would shut down because I would be like, well, wait a minute, that's not what that guy does that comes. Like, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with this. And so, like, yeah, so
He's
that's what I'm
got a
saying.
hot chick on the side.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was starting to laugh when you were talking. I was like, oh my God, like, stop showing me that because that's crazy. That's crazy. But, for me, like, I think that really sort of set the stage. And what was interesting was I could hear them say certain things and I'd be like, well, that's not true. Like, that doesn't resonate with me. Like that was, even young. So as I got into the spirituality, what, I refer to as the spirituality, I started to really see the difference. Now, mind you, I still had a little bit of that, what I refer to as the Catholic guilt, where, you're born, you're sinned, you did, like all these like little things. And I still had some of that. But what I noticed was when I would say things to my clients, because I would still say, because to me, God was this beautiful, loving God. But yet there was still a little bit of a program in there that, really, because he's going to judge you for this. Or, when I went to get married in the church and, well, we couldn't get married in the backyard, you had to come into the thing. And I was like, well, why do I have to come to the church? Why can't I get married like in the backyard? God's everywhere. Like, it's like, no, God is here. This is God's home. And I'm like, well, God's home is everything. Like, it really was that conversation that really wasn't handled very well. They didn't really like me at that point, which I did. I did end up getting married in the church, but still it was that whole aspect of there's such a division in my brain and what is going on. And when I would talk to clients and I would still be like, okay, we're going to invite God in. And all of a sudden I'd feel this energy like stop. And I'd be like, are you okay with God? And they're like, no, God doesn't like me. God hates me. God's always punishing me. Like these were things that I'd always hear. And I'm, it's not up to me to say, listen, the God I know, it certainly is not the guy I learned about in church. But the more I got into the spirituality and started to hear or know certain things like reading different things and all of that, like it really started to resonate that I really like let go of the Catholic stuff and started to really recognize that, wait a minute, this God that is exactly what you were saying in the beginning, this unconditional love, who is here to assist us and help us in anything we want, here's every single thing that we say and think as wonderful and perfect. And let me help you with that. So when you think God is a punishing God, at least the one that I know, okay, that is a punishing God, and you start to really look at, take responsibility, what we always say in these things, right? Take responsibility for what you're thinking, what your whole thing is, and you start to recognize and say, oh my God, wait a minute, let me look at my thoughts. I'm punishing myself. God's helping me when I say, oh, I don't have enough money or life sucks. And, this breaks down and this is happening. I can't get a good relationship and all that. And he's hearing it with unconditional love. And this is sort of difficult for some people to understand what unconditional love is. Look at it from a point of every single thing that is heard is positive and wonderful. So when you're saying that, and God, source, universe, get whatever you want to call it, says, let me help you with that. Let me give you more of that. Your relationships suck. We're going to bring this person to you because it's really going to suck. And because you're creating that's what you're doing. It's not a punishing God, not that I know. I mean, if you know of the punishing God and it resonates with you, there is absolutely no judgment. Let it resonate with you. You stay, that course. I'm just saying for me, it was the recognition that God was not that. So I was very easily able to then welcome him into what I refer to as my spiritual path, because I recognized him, her, whatever you want to say, them, whatever it is. I recognized that this was somebody that was working with me. It was outside working with me to say, hey, here you go. We're going to help you with this. This is what you want. Okay. But be cautious of your words and your thoughts, Renee, because I'm going to help you with it. So make sure that's something that you want. And if you don't, you better correct it. You better tell me otherwise. So that's where this whole awareness and this awakening of be very aware of what you're asking, what you're saying, what you're thinking, what your actions are, because it's not just words and thoughts, it's the actions. When I remember somebody saying, oh my God, I can't stand her. I hope she breaks her leg. And I thought, because you could see the energy like going out. And like, here was the person that she was talking about. Okay. And we're standing over here. And I see the energy go and go, whoop, come
And you're
right
like,
back to her, like
let's
magnified.
go get her some crutches right now.
Yeah. And sure enough, she didn't break one leg, she broke both legs and broke her wrist, like
Wow.
within like weeks. And I was like, oh, damn, bitch, that's karma. Like, did you ask? And
That's,
you ask and you shall receive, right? Like,
yeah.
that's the whole piece. So, exactly. I'm double down a little, on what you said, Patty. Like, if it doesn't resonate with it, makes you feel crappy, that's not your truth. Follow your truth. And it may be difficult. And this is what we spoke to in another episode. It may be difficult to speak your truth, but you have to speak your truth. Maybe stop going if people around you are like, but you have to go, you have to do. When you start to speak your truth and you stand in that truth, it is amazing how people stop questioning you and how they stop pushing you around. And when you're speaking your truth, you're going to notice that what we spoke on in a different one, that's going to all open up. And I'll tell you, that whole 98.8% that they were talking about, I know I'm in that percentage because I got a lot of stuff. If we were talking about this, I had to mute my mic right. That stuff in there. So it's that point of like, really listen, honor for what you are and what feels right to you. And it doesn't mean you don't, I mean, if you want to keep going to church and still have that and recognize that, okay, this is bullshit, but I feel good when I come here. I don't feel good when I'm listening, because that's the point where I was at.
Yeah.
I felt good one point, like going there. And I remember sitting up in the balcony once, and I swear to God, like God came right in front of me. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, I was actually there for a baptism. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And then I don't remember the message that I got, but it was like, damn, it was so clear. I think it was the first time I really had a real true visual of
Yeah.
what my perception of what God was.
Yeah. And it was, and that was for you.
Yes,
So
exactly.
don't let somebody else, that's another thing. Don't let somebody else give you their vision, because you have your own relationship. And
Yes.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, that
No,
was your
no.
vision.
Good.
And I can hear some of the comments already, because I've been here where I went through a time in my life where I absolutely said, nope, there's no God, because he wouldn't have done this to me
Yeah.
for a long time. I just was like, nope, I just put my head down and work hard and struggle, and God wouldn't have done this to me. And then in doing this work and going through the awakening process and realizing that one of the prime fears on the planet was a fear of God, I went, okay, wait. And then I started to say, what beliefs do I have around that? And it wasn't just a fear, it was an anger. Oh, he did me wrong. And now I understand, here's how it works. Yes, you're a creator, source, universe, God, whatever term that you're comfortable with, is is a creator, but in this human incarnation, you have free will, and they will not. Your free will is never impeded. So guides, angels, God, whatever message comes into you, if you decide to go against it, you have free will. And so we understand now that we create our reality. We have the power to create it. Now we have more accessibility to higher realms of creation than we ever have before. Energies that have never been available in a human body before are available now. And so the quicker you embrace this spirituality and get into union with that and understand that it is a supportive energy, and then understand that your will is one with their will. And when you choose your own will, that you are usually bucking against that energy, the creative energy that's coming in. And I think like this is the main thing, and to understand that your perception was the only thing that was off. And because you were never seen as bad, you were never seen as unsuccessful, you were never seen as anything other than love. And when you align with that, that the supportive love that comes behind it is truly indescribable. And this is where we're all heading. This is, this is the journey, is to remember that we're a spiritual being having an experience in a human body, and that you are attached to that, and that not only is there no fear attached to it, it is all about love. And this, we came here today and wanted to like rip the band-aid off, and we know if you're listening to this that you at some point probably had similar questions that we've all had in our journey too, which is, okay, so all right, let's consider that this, okay, that maybe, all right, God is love, all right, and you can go back, and most of your beliefs aren't even your own. And that's what I realized when it was so easy for me to peel that onion, that I went, "Oh my God, that's not mine." And then I was like, "Okay, that's not mine either." I heard all of these, sin, and then I'm like, "Gosh, that's all crap." And it felt like crap when I heard it. It felt like crap when I heard it. And then, so for me, it was more like a validation that, oh wow, my intuition was on for this is what's right for me. And now I have a new understanding for it. And it's something that's beautiful and easy. And it's like, oh wow. Okay, now I understand exactly, and I can direct. How am I directing my energy in this situation? And right, am I in, in communion with the that big source, the energy, the universe? And it does support you. We've talked about many instances, and this is a subject, Tracy, I'd love to have you jump in here too.
So again, from the perspective of not growing up with this God figure in my life, I have and again, I hope I said it earlier, everyone's experience and journey is theirs. And again, do you just, I always find it ironic how if I say something a little out there, I get attacked, that I'm wrong. Well, you don't, well, hold on. Show me the same respect, because there probably will be haters. I'm not hating on any of it. I'm just proposing a different perspective. And I find it ironic if I come forward with a perspective, how I do get attacked. And I'm like, wow, aren't we all hypocrites, right? So, because for me, it's source love, and you can't worship an energy. An energy is an energy. It's not worshipable. So that was my first, I don't get it, because my God was always source, spirit, universal intelligence, right? So it's too big to put into we worship him. So I totally didn't understand it. I was like, we're living on different planets here, people, right? So look at it that way. And I like my version. I like an energy of love. That's what I choose to live with and live by. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys have watched me at all. Don't tell me I'm a sinner. Go fuck yourself. I decide my rules, who I am. I know my heart. I know my integrity. I know that's pretty saucy, but I'm saucy. And my God loves that in me, right? My energy fills me up with that. So, and I do like to speak inflammatory, so people, you guys are a little more of the soft touch, not always, but I am kind of tired of people that their perspective is right and don't rain on my parade, but they'll tell me I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I think we should all respect each other, and to be able to look at each other's perspective with the disclosure, my truth is being spoken, because when I see a lot of people being manipulated, controlled, which is rampant right now, I can't seem to not speak my truth. See our previous episode. So, same thing with the medical system. Why wouldn't you believe that you had a miraculous body and you could heal yourself? Why would you want to believe that there is this God in the sky? You suck. You're a sinner. You don't, gosh, don't do this. You can't do this. Can't have sex out of marriage. You can't do that. No, I was like, good God, why don't we just all be alcoholics and wrap it up? Go to church every day, a couple times, hit that wine. No, I'm trying to be funny now. But anyway, do you see, I like to point out a lot of hypocrisies, and God love all of you. God love y'all. Um, sorry. You gotta laugh.
I just
I
love
swear
it.
it's not me.
Oh,
It's source energy channeling through me.
it
But
is you.
anyway,
It is. It's your truth.
and you
Yeah,
gotta laugh because we're all in it together. The school
we are.
system, oh my God, what a disservice to our kids at this point. The medical system, and I'm just trying to be, can we laugh about it and talk openly? Because I get crap out. What, you think you can do energy work? You think you talk to angels and guides? I take hits every day, and guess what? Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine with you, but you start stepping on someone's religion or their medical beliefs or their school beliefs, right? Like, I'm
yeah,
sure their God would tell me to burn at the stake, but whoa, I just
yeah.
blew it wide open. I don't know where you guys want
No,
to go from there.
I think you're spot on, Tracy. It is an energy. Everything's energy. Everything is energy, and everything is created. It's love. Love. It's created by love. It is true. It's not a angry man with a beard in the sky striking people down with lightning. You're absolutely, and I think that's a perfect perspective. It's and with regard to perspective, I love to play this fun game when if I want to see, like, I'm curious about something I'm learning about. And what I do is I assign the same situation to different people of different, okay, how would a little boy see this? How would the postman see this? How would my friend see this? And I try to create as many characters as I can and go, how would they see this? So I'm taking myself out of my own eyes so that I can get a 360 and get, and that's the beauty I love of what the three of us do here is we truly love hearing each other's because it's like, wow, that's how they're riding this journey, right? And that's cool because we are all in this together. We're walking each other home. And it's like, hey, Tracy is our habanero chili pepper. We love it. We love it. Do you know why? She is here for the greater good of all. And we know that. And she's here with love. And we know that. And she's given you her truth, which is based on love. And we're saying that, gosh, yeah, you pick your lane and pick the one that feels comfortable to you. And all we're saying is if it feels yucky, if it feels yucky, that is your GPS, which is your heart. That means you're off of your track. You're off of your soul's desire now. And you're and you know just be curious about it. And we, like, again, if you're listening to this podcast, you must have a level of curiosity. And we're absolutely, if you find peace when you go, if you're going to a church or a temple or shrine, whatever it may be, if that brings you peace, fantastic. What we're saying is if any part of that process brings you fear, what can you do? What can you shift to come out of that fear and convert it all to love? That's what we're recommending. Renee?
Yep. I I think we're at that. Are we at that point now, or have we gone to our half hour beyond? Because this could be so
Yeah.
much bigger. And I just want to double down on that. There, if you're going to church and it feels right to you, we're not bashing anything. We're saying you stay with what feels right to you. We're giving you our, well, what we went through, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are seeing the hypocrites out there of, oh my God, I'm going to church and everything is all wonderful, and then you get them in the parking lot and holy Jesus, like that is something, a whole different ball game, and you're like, wow, what just happened there? Or I mean, we all know what's going on with the Catholic priests and all that stuff. And, so they're doing, one thing, saying another. And it's that point of like, well, wait a minute. So wait, I go and I do 2 Hail Marys and I'm all okay. Like, does it make sense? Does that, really, feel right to you? And if it does, great. It just doesn't with me, and, the whole thing of the difference between spirituality and religion, we're taking this religion part as, the churches, and exactly, double down with what Tracy said. There's a lot of spiritual churches that are out there that are fabulous. There are a lot of different religions, whatever, that are absolutely wonderful. I'm saying what I experienced in this. And when we're just, basically saying, follow what feels right to you. If something doesn't feel right, question it. How can I spin this? How can I change it? And, you know, follow your truth. I mean, Tracy's awesome at it and I love it. And I love that whole perception of it. So Trace, anything?
No, and I do want to come back around and say there are a lot of amazing things. Like, again, I'm all about community and relationships and supportive figures in the community and the world. I think that is awesome. I think that, we've lost our way a little bit. And I think the messaging I'll dim it back down, is to question everything, like we said, and filter through what resonates with you. Because there is plenty of good in every scenario out there. But I do think that we're in a time that it's beneficial for everyone to question and really tune into, is it from love? And I can get a little spicy, but honestly, it's because I want the world to do better. I want the world to be better. And sometimes I find it so curious. I'm just going to say it really quick, because a lot of people, if you're in the energy world, you can get torn apart every which way. Crystals are stupid. Essential oils don't work. Any, alternate healing method. So it's okay to be extremely disrespectful and tear apart that. But anything like the school system and the church, oh, you better tread lightly. You don't want to piss anyone off. Again, it's hypocritical. And I'm here to call out the hypocrisy, but in a loving way. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true. Basically, if there's fear, guilt, or shame attached to any of your beliefs, regardless of what it is, you're not in the energy of love, and it's not the truth of who you are. And that's why it feels shitty.
Yeah. And will say, like when I said, I know everything that's gone on with the Catholic priests, not all the priests, clearly. A lot of them were the ones that were blowing the whistle and making sure that some changes came about. But again, it goes back to what we've talked about in previous episodes. Everything's imploding. We're not to be holding anybody in this higher whatever, because everybody's on the same plateau. We're all the same, energy. So
Yeah.
nobody's higher, nobody's better, nobody's bigger. Everything that has been, what we have talked about before, everything that had been, that's all going, that's all leaving. That's the old energy, the old fields, the old way of doing things. That's not how we do things anymore. We're now moving into a new way. How is it you want the world to be? How do you want to show up for yourself? I don't want to hear about how you want to show up for somebody else, because that's completely irrelevant. How you want to show up for you, because then that is going to have you show up for everybody else in the right way. As long as you stand and speak your truth, you're being honest and truthful for you, that is going to come through in your world and everything that comes to you in a very wonderful, wonderful way. And somebody else may judge that as, oh my God, she or he, is a bitch or an asshole or whatever. Who cares? As long as you're showing up for you. I feel like, and then they're saying we're not always going to be this way, but my language right now is there's always going to be haters out there. You just got to ignore them. Like, what, Patty says all the time, we'll give you a parachute, go away. Like, don't, if you don't like the conversation, you don't like what's being said, well, why do you keep showing up? Stop fucking showing up. Like, if you're a bitch, get the fuck out of here. Like, like,
It's true. We're not taking any prisoners here.
no.
Everybody on this flight is a willing participant.
And we say that with love,
We-
really.
we do
Love.
with and with the
We do that.
understanding.
We really do.
Yeah,
We do. We do.
that's where you're at in your journey. Okay, but don't, the sooner you stop attacking someone else's journey, the sooner things do get better for you. So
Absolutely.
let everybody be on their journey and allow it, and just give 'em love, like, right? You
If you
don't need.
Yeah, if you don't agree with them, move on. Like, okay, or just say, well, I see things differently. Have that
Yeah.
open communication. Don't attack. That's not the way to get anything. That you're going to have attacking in your world continually.
Yeah. And
So
I
stop.
think in closing, we want to say that if there is anyone that is new, that all of a sudden they're like, okay, I realize I'm awakened and there's more. I know there's more, but what is it? we understand that there's a process and a compassion involved in disconnecting from something that you held onto for a very long time, that you may have thought like this is how I'm supposed to live. So to have compassion and grace for yourself and in the process, and just know that your decision when you follow your heart is fully supported with more and more love. And the more you allow that, the more that comes in. You're just, and we're getting access to greater and greater fields of love than we've ever had before. So it's the energy is there to support you, which is why we thought, well, I guess today's the day we're tearing up the band-aids. So, but we do want to say that this is not being done without compassion. And we do understand that this can be a really challenging awareness to come to, right? Not everything in awareness is pretty. We've all had some things that we've had to look at, but you look at it, you heal it, and then you let it go. And the good news is it's being replaced by love and light and your own power to create in a beautiful way. And, we're in this together. We're here for you. And, thank you for listening. And if you're, don't like this, we do provide the parachutes and a safe landing and love for all of you. So, ladies, thank you for a great episode. And we'll see you next time.